Howdy, howdy.
Howdy.
And welcome to But It Was Aliens, the extraterrestrial comedy podcast by two probers who probe those who may probe to protect probees from a probing. Chief prober today is myself, Kevin the Grey, and today's co-prober is looking probingly towards me, Granville Moonwalker. Are you ready to probe? That was not an exaggeration. He is looking towards me probingly.
Let's probe.
We are, for possibly the fourth time on But It Was Aliens, heading to the moon.
To the moon!
We had Mona Lisa, Moonchild a few weeks back. We've had the connection between Neil Armstrong and Hitler, which I'm nervous to mention in case you leave immediately to go look for Father Cresby's plates, Granville. We even touched down briefly on the moon on our way to Mars with the Mars Defense Force. We love the moon. But what I'm about to do is pick all that apart, because the moon landing didn't happen, did it?
No.
Did we say any of those ones were real?
No. Oh.
We were caught.
Caught on Crespi.
Yeah,
I think I wanted more.
You thought he was Hitler, but not necessarily the wider story, perhaps.
That was it. I think we've touched on the moon on 5.
What was the other one?
Or this will be 5.
This will be 5, unless you've got another one that I didn't mention just there.
Adamski.
Okay.
Other side of the moon, or with the moon having trees or something on. I think that was definitely mentioned.
Fair dues. We might have mentioned it in others, but we're about to specifically cover it. The plan today is first to go over the reasons why the moon landing didn't happen. Once we've determined that the moon landing was fake, we are then going to get on to what the moon actually is. For the science bastards listening, stick with us, because we will of course look at alternative scientific bullshit explanations at the end. You've seen the episode title, you know where I'm going. It's a deep dive. Let's snorkel up. Did you think that the moon landing was real?
No, I've had doubts. I really have.
Always?
Not always. Obviously, as a kid, always thought it was real. And then, as I've got older, I just don't trust people so easily. So, I always question everything.
Question NASA.
Question everything. Am I really a person?
Yes.
Am I really a moonwalker?
Sort of.
Have I walked on the moon?
With Michael Jackson and Neil Armstrong. Why do people have to do that when they talk about Michael Jackson?
Because it's the thing to do.
But he made lots of sounds like Jamona.
Yeah,
as an example. But that's the one that everyone goes to.
I would moonwalk, but we're recording, so. Jamona.
We know the story. NASA, Apollo 11, Collins, Aldrin and Armstrong, July the 20th, 1969. One small step for a man. Armstrong and Aldrin step on the moon. They see aliens. Collins makes shadow puppets with his package. They stick an American flag on the moon, and then they all return home safely. But that flag, you've seen the imagery. The flag was rippling. Let's just recap again. Are you familiar with the moon? The moon has no air. Therefore, there is no breeze. The flag couldn't ripple. Here's a photo of the flag. Let me know what you think, Mr. Moonwalker, and obviously I'll post this on our Insta.
That's a ripple, baby.
That flag is a rippling. Ripple, ripple.
I mean, it would just... Yeah, that doesn't look real.
Clearly rippling.
Yeah.
And this is a legit NASA photo, by the way.
It's a real Ripley of flags. Rippling, you little rippler.
So no other ideas on that flag, you're just satisfied it's...
Yep.
Cool. There is also a lack of impact crater from the Apollo landing pod. You'll see in the next image I have, as well as the flag image, there are footprints everywhere. Surely the thrusters on the moon lander would have left something behind? footprints were left on the moon. Footprints. Where are the bloody landing marks? Meanwhile, just think of the bloody mechanics here. Not only do we fly a freaking rocket into space and then a pod, if you will, to the moon, we then shoot a landing craft out of the moon and land in one piece, do some bumming around on the moon. Meanwhile, Collins is floating around in space. What? Orbiting the moon? The moon which itself is moving all the time, slightly further away from the Earth. Small calculations do make a big difference. Then the bastard swings by to pick the chaps up, shoot all the way back to Earth, and goes for our atmosphere, which burns shit up, and lands safely? Really? Just think about that. Really?
Well, maybe they tethered it to the moon.
They'd have wrapped it in a bow if they did, wouldn't they? Going round and round it.
They never landed. It's one of those things where I honestly don't think they landed. So all the evidence you bring for them not landing, I'm just like, yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to save my opinions to the end, obviously. I'm just presenting you with the facts here. Mm-hmm. But it is absolutely mind-boggling when you think of all that's involved in landing on that damn bastard rock.
It's one of those things where I'm not 100% sure it happened. But that's not to say I'm not open to being proven wrong. Just, I don't think it happened.
Yeah, it's just bonkers to think to me. In 1969, we dropped that lander down, launched it back up into the spacecraft going around the moon. Just all the timings and measurements involved.
Just think of all the bullshit stuff that
look at how many
humans
times
cannot get right.
Look at how many times SpaceX, Musk's company, has messed up the landing of those rockets and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Yet in 1969, we could nail this.
Nailed it.
Mm-hmm. With calculator computers, as they say. Mm-hmm. On the way to the moon, astronauts would have had to pass through a radiation belt, the Van Allen belts to be precise. These belts surround the Earth and trap radioactive particles in them.
Is that a mistype? Is that meant to be Van Halen?
No. Okay. Concentrated, high-speed subatomic particles rip through the body and can ruin your ass. Bye-bye DNA. These astronauts weren't wrapped in lead. They weren't sitting in a fridge. They didn't have a magnetic field around themselves keeping the radiation outside. Side note, I believe in the early 60s America actually detonated a nuke in space called Starfish to see if they could punch a hole in or expand this belt. They couldn't. The nuke actually temporarily added more radiation. But anyway, the astronauts passed through the belts, and would you believe it, they had lower than expected radiation. They were good having passed through on the way there and back.
They nuked.
Yeah, I thought you might sit on that one.
What? I did not know that.
Yeah, apparently so.
So nuking it in space, did they nuke it out, like, outside of our atmosphere, or?
So this belt is outside of the Earth, but you have to pass through it and leaving.
Oh, so just outside of...
Yeah.
So it's like a protective layer
so
around the Earth. So
basically they sent a nuke into space and detonated it in this area.
Oh, wow. Never knew that.
Yeah, it's bonkers to think.
Well, it kind of makes sense that it's going to add radiation to it rather than just not destroy or punch a hole in the belt, to be fair. Mm-hmm. If you add water to water, it's going to...
get wet.
Have more water.
You're going to get wet. But yeah, mind-boggling again that we know this belt is there and it messes people up, yet people went through it and didn't get messed up. In the moon landing images, there are strange shadows and light sources. If the sun were the only light source, we shouldn't be able to see anything in shadow, right? Here's an image of the lander.
That looks so... like it's in a studio. It's unreal.
Note that you can see the lander or lunar module even on the dark side. There had to be more light. How can you see the bit that should be completely dark because the sun is obviously on that side?
Yeah. I take it those two white lights to the left are from the camera that's taken this picture and aren't studio lights in the background which have been used to light. I'd
love to say they were studio lights, but I don't think NASA would have been that stupid to leave studio lights in an official photo.
You never know. Yeah, you're just giving me more.
I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
There is a profound lack of stars in imagery from the moon landing. There are no clouds on the moon. It would have been very hard to map out stars and get it all right in their studio, so NASA left them out, didn't they? Meanwhile, we mentioned in our What Was Really on the Moon probe about poor quality television transmissions being used to intentionally cause delays in the footage. Maybe that was needed to cover when things could have blown the studio's cover. We know why the USA may have faked the moon landing to win the space race. Save face, get one over Russia with Cold War implications, you know the drill. Or maybe there's aliens there. Here's another moon landing image showing the lack of stars.
Yeah, that's pitch black background, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to look at the moon's surface and see if I can notice anything
any inconsistencies.
Slightly odd, yeah. All I can see is the flag in the background with its little ripples.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the black background with no stars.
Yep,
no stars.
So now that I've completely convinced you that the moon landing wasn't real, I'm going to let you in on some secrets. Shh. Our moon, at just over a quarter of Earth's size, is way bigger in comparison to the planet orbited than any other moon is in comparison to the planet they orbit. The only planets with moons our moon's size are gas giants. Jupiter is about 318 times bigger than Earth. Take that in. Meanwhile, if our moon was 1% closer or 1% further away, it would not be locked in orbit. It would crash into us or float away. The moon provides climate stability by stopping our axes from wobbling. It's been placed perfectly. What are the chances of that? Our moon is also the only moon tidally locked. All other moons rotate on their axes. We only see one side of our moon. We do not see the dark side. The chances of this are astronomically slim.
I was going to say, is there at least some point throughout history where obviously the moon spins on its axis and you see the dark side of the moon or anything like that?
Locked in.
Fair enough. I'm just agreeing with everything right now, aren't I? Like, there is not an ounce of like fight or argument or anything. I'm just like, yeah, that's cool.
Whenever I do what I call a deep dive or a conspiracy probe, you're always so in compared to normal ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I'm waiting for the bullshit.
What do you mean? There ain't no bullshit. Now I'm going to get to it.
Here comes the bullshit.
Not the bullshit, just the... I was going to say bull or the shit, but neither of them sound great. So the stuff. There's a theory out there that the moon is actually an alien craft of sorts, sent to crash into the Earth, settle and start off life. You think this sounds crazy? Moon rocks. Moon rocks, as we've covered before, have gone missing. Those that have been studied have been magnetised despite the moon supposedly not having a magnetic field. Meanwhile, if a ship actually crashed into Earth, it would be covered with Earth rock, so to speak, on top from the debris settling, but underneath, it could remain a metallic disk. Supporting this idea are moon craters. So there are thousands of craters on the moon, and despite being caused by differing sizes of meteorites and therefore being of differing widths, all craters go to the same approximate depth. None go any deeper. To stop craters going deeper, there would need to be a hard layer of rock deeper in the moon, but this would not actually be consistent with the moon's mass. So what other explanation can there be? There could be a metal layer stopping deeper craters and internal damage to the moon. Astronauts have tried drilling into the craters and were barely able to even penetrate the surface, finding pure titanium. Inside of this layer, the moon could be hollow. This theory was supported by Soviet scientists from about 1970. There are journals published on this.
So what you're saying is the moon could be a spaceship.
Essentially, yes.
That I have a different theory,
Right?
but the same theory.
Okay.
It's still a spaceship, but we're being Truman Showed.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's there to broadcast all our bullshit to the rest of the solar system, and they literally kick back and watch us
So
being fucking idiots.
on this note, would they have started our planet almost like a zoo to then watch us develop and watch this show unravel?
Yes. So
So it's a very related
hello.
theory. Hi, guys. We have figured you out.
So it's like saying being there in space with all the dust particles and stuff that's floating around, it's covered the ship
Yeah.
that is there.
Yeah.
What do you reckon there is still life inside of it?
It's a possibility. I mean, we can only get down into the moon so far. Then we hit that hard outer surface. Who knows what's inside? Whether it was sent with like elements of the building blocks of life to start off life, whether there's a civilization in there.
I'm pretty sure I have seen a documentary or read something, or we may have even covered it at some point, where someone tried to blow up the moon.
I don't remember blowing up. They experimented with it to see what sort of sounds it made.
It may have been something
rang
else
like
I
a
watched
bell.
where they had a plan to blow up the moon, and I was like,
Isn't that
"That's
from Despicable Me or something?
yeah," but it's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of a documentary or something where I think it might have been the US that planned to blow it up. I don't know. It's just something that's there in the back of my mind.
That's a stupid frickin' idea. Whoever thought of that?
And that's exactly why. Like when I heard it, I was like, "That's fucking stupid."
People are, yeah. Anywho. One of the most popular moon theories out there is the Thea giant impact hypothesis. We'll cover the others momentarily, but in this theory, a planetary body similar in size to Mars strikes the Earth, kicks up a whole lot of debris, the heavy elements settle into Earth's mantle, and the moon forms. The theory suggested a glancing blow, however, recent evidence suggests that the object may have been travelling faster and hit the Earth head-on with precision. A perfect shot. As recently as 2018, meanwhile...
A sniper shot, you could say.
Yep. So 2018, more scientific research suggested that the moon actually formed before the Earth, and meanwhile 2019 research suggests that the moon formed at least in the outer solar system. At least. If the moon formed by a planetary body striking, Venus has been hit by lots of space rock. Where is Venus's moon? The chances of this all happening at the exact right time and angle is bonkers. Is it any less bonkers that an alien race did this intentionally? It may even be more likely. I'm not even saying that aliens had to be in a ship that crashed into Earth in order to settle the Earth. They may have just sent a craft to crack into Earth to ensure the survival of life. or even to experiment with life, perfectly planned with that perfect sniper shot, as you say.
You know, like when you have too much information go in and then you're just like...
Yeah.
Consider this mind blown. For now. So the moon could essentially be, well, I don't know if the moon would be older than Earth, or would it be older than life on Earth? All life, even
It would be
plants.
older than Earth itself. So anything that came after, for example, life, it would be older than, because it's older than the Earth.
But you classing Earth as in the planet with life, or
The planet.
before it?
Just the planet.
Okay. I mean, we've touched on Hollow Earth, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's fine. My train of thought will go because it's not the Hollow Moon, it's Hollow Earth. So, continue.
Supporting the idea of the hollow moon, remember when we covered the events of November the 20th, 1969, when astronauts released the Apollo 12 lunar module launch vehicle back into the moon to test seismic activity? The moon rung for more than an hour like a bell.
That's what I was bloody thinking of.
I mentioned it.
I know, but in my head I was like, Hollow Moon. Hollow Earth.
Apollo 14 Apollo 14 crashed a heavier lunar rocket into the moon, and the moon rung again to a depth of over 20 miles for more than 3 hours like a bell. When I say rung, I mean vibrated, which is what a bell does. That too, though, could be consistent with a metal layer and a hollow space inside, like a spaceship. The moon is supposed to have a mass 1.2% of the Earth's own mass, despite being a quarter of the size. Hollow! The moon is also about 400 times smaller than the sun, but also 400 times closer to us than the sun. So in the sky, the sun and the moon look the same size. How picturesque. What are the chances of the moon ending up where it is and blocking out the sun perfectly? Perfectly.
Is the moon 1.2% of the Earth's own mass
That's what they say.
because it doesn't have life on it?
No.
So
Or does it have life on it?
the fact that we have obviously millions of tons of water plus all the humans and everything that we have on Earth, that is going to increase the mass of Earth.
All the rock and the water and whatnot is the predominant mass. Life does not take up. And weirdly, I think I saw a research article literally only a couple of weeks ago clarifying that for the first time, man-made structures have outweighed the volume of natural structures on the Earth, or natural life on the Earth. So now we've created more than what life weighs.
So if you were to strip everything off Earth and literally take it down to its core, no water, just the core rock.
Well, water is a part of the Earth, so
Well, get rid of it.
not sure you could.
Is
do
it still 1.2%?
It wouldn't be 1.2, but it wouldn't be equal.
I'm
It'd
not
be nowhere
saying
near
equal, but it would be closer as well.
Well, if you're taking all the water off the Earth, remember the Earth is predominantly, like most of the Earth's surface is water. So you're taking away a big chunk there, but the life is
water's a
nowhere
lot.
near as big a chunk.
I was going to say, is water denser than rock?
Depends on the rock.
Because with the amount of water that we have on Earth, is that the reason we are so much denser than the moon?
No.
Let's continue with this space alien experiment that we are.
Let's take a step back and think logical for a second now. Today, we have blood moons, blue blood wolf moons, super moons, micro moons, moonies,
Hey!
all sorts of large moons.
I'm not going to lie, I'm not small.
Does the moon's orbit change that much that it changes in size to us by 15%? 15%! That's a lot! How is that stable? Unless it's some sort of craft. There's even a black moon whereby the moon isn't even visible. It just fucks off.
Okay, I have a question.
Right?
Is that truly a black moon, or is it just invisible?
Hard to say because it's against a black sky.
So many moons.
Precisely. It changes so much.
So think how a scientist would set up an experiment, and when it works, would they just leave it, or would they tinker after?
Depends on the experiment.
Is the Earth and the Moon an alien scientist experiment, and we've just been left?
Could be, or it could be that they're still watching. It's a lengthy study. We don't know how time works for other
That is true.
dimensional creatures, let alone interdimensional creatures. And we complete longitudinal studies ourselves over many, many years. Sometimes we do things and leave them. Sometimes we clear up our mess.
What if we weren't meant to survive?
Maybe we won't.
Like,
Maybe that's still to come.
We weren't.
But we did.
Yeah. Something went wrong on the moon and everyone in the ship inside the moon died. Something went wrong and we've just been left to our own devices since then. We were meant to have been kept in check.
Maybe. Maybe they hit a little bit, or they hit exactly as they planned, but the damage to them was more than expected. Yet the building blocks of life came from them, so they were planning to set up a planet for themselves, but they accidentally killed themselves and ended up starting a new form of life.
Two of them survived.
Bert and Ernie are just walking around inside the hollow moon, stuck.
There's a film about that as well. There's a film about bloody everything, but continue.
We mentioned the impact, so let's just go over other origin theories quickly. We know that moons can be formed when they pass a planet and are captured, or when a moon forms at the same time as a planet in the same accretion disk, or less likely is that a moon breaks off from a larger object, perhaps due to some gravitational pull. The moon may be 1 billion years older than the Earth and has a different core composition, which rules out those theories. So it has to be a precision shot, right? As we've sort of mentioned earlier, the moon is full of titanium and also a couple of radioactive elements not found naturally on Earth, namely uranium-236 and neptunium. There is water in the rocks of the moon, possibly as much as 600 million tons, and also a water mist was found by Apollo 14 to surround the moon. This mist covered 100 square miles of the moon, but NASA tried to claim it was from a burst water tank from one of their craft, which, by the way, would have carried 60 to 100 pounds of water. NASA are at it again. We know that we can't trust them. They say the moon is just a moon. I call bullshit.
On NASA? Yeah. 60 to 100 pounds of water is not gonna create that mist which covered 100 square miles of the moon.
For real.
But what is making that water around the moon? Damn, son. This is one that's got me thinking, so there's more bouts of silence. Damn it. What if, you know how when people are in an aeroplane and obviously they go to the toilet and they release over. What if that is all the years of like pee being collected and it's just released, but it just gradually forms.
And NASA are flying straight through
it. Fly through my pee.
Ew.
It's like a piss shield. Piss mist. Psst.
Now let me tell you about the Zulu legend of Fishman brothers, Wawan and Mpanku. These brothers brought the moon to Earth after stealing it from a fire dragon and emptied it before slapping it in orbit of the Earth. This resulted in a mist surrounding the Earth, downpouring not dissimilar to a great flood. Meanwhile, the brothers also resemble the details of a Sumerian legend of the first civilization of humans. Several ancient civilizations explained the moon with aliens. Maybe they knew. More recently, Alex Collier, in his book Letters from Andromeda, which we may probe, claimed to have received communication from aliens who brought the moon to the Earth and may have transported aliens with it. These ideas have been around as long as humans have.
I suppose. So there's so many different cultures with the same basic ideas.
Yep.
Right? But I suppose people would have travelled. So stories and the spreading of tales would have got around. But then at the same time, so many people spoke different dialects, and would they have understood unless they used art as a method of communication? But then you're just interpreting someone's art, which isn't 100%.
It's tough to... We just don't know. The problem is that we can theorise all we want, but we'll never know.
Nah. Cool, I'm calling bullshit.
On which bit?
I don't know. Just carry on.
If you'd spent your whole life defending such a significant lie, you'd get a little defensive, wouldn't you? To be honest, I'm not even saying it's a lie or otherwise here. I just really wanted to show you this footage. Buzz Aldrin was stalked for a period by a conspiracy theorist who kept trying to get Buzz to swear on the Bible that he really did walk on the moon. Hopefully, if you click this image below, Granville, it should play about a 1.5-minute clip from YouTube, which we'll include in the episode notes. Check this.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You tell him to get out of here.
He will not.
We believe that we paid. Come on in here, we'll call the police. Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir, I don't have nothing to do with this. We cannot solicit on this property.
We just paid to rent out the penthouse. Shoot up there.
Not answering, is he?
He's really not. And
All right, well, then
it's one of those things where
You gotta keep cheating, man. Okay. Well, you can put on your
I
shoulder.
don't condone anyone harassing anyone in the slightest.
You said you walked on the moon when you didn't.
But
Calling the kettle black if ever thought of saying I misrepresented myself. Away from me. You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
oh, Aldrin just punched him in his face.
He popped him.
Left hook and again. Oh,
Keep playing it over and over.
And a thief. And a thief.
oh. So, is there a little bit at the end I need to watch? We can pause that. Right.
I don't think so.
So, he keeps following Aldrin, and Buzz clocks him right in his beak.
Clocked him in the beak.
But it's one of those things.
Yeah.
He could literally place his hand on the Bible or on that book that man said and just said, yeah, I walked on the moon.
Yeah.
Which then makes me question, is Buzz Aldrin a God-fearing man and will not swear on the Bible unless it's true or is in court? So, I mean, if you look at the American judicial system, to make people swear on the Bible that they're telling the truth when they may not actually believe anything that is said in the Bible is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he clearly doesn't want to put his hand on the Bible and swear that he went to the moon. So Buzz didn't go to the moon.
Buzz didn't go to the moon, but Buzz dealt with people who said
Yeah.
they didn't.
I mean,
I'm not saying it to Buzz's face.
I'll say it to his face. I'll just say it once.
Yeah, to be fair, that man was proper harassing,
Yeah,
wasn't he?
I mean, he deserved to get clocked in the face, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, he's got a point.
So let's go back over the moon landing conspiracy. NASA have suggested that the flag was taken out of a thin tube and that this unravelling is what caused the ripple. Another story says that the flag had an incorrect coating applied to it, which stopped its extension rod from fully extending, making it look rippled. It needed a rod to extend the flag, as alone, without wind, a normal flag would have hung limp. Meanwhile, more scientists have suggested that the astronauts touched the flagpole in putting the flag in, which would have caused a wobble and subsequent rippling. Lots of stories.
Well, if the flag would have hung limp, them touching it would have not made it ripple.
The radiation belt is explained through the fact that the astronauts absolutely whizzed through it, so they weren't actually in the belt long enough to take significant damage. Meanwhile, their craft was protected just enough to pass through in the time needed. For the strange light sources, the lunar surface reflected the sun's light. The counter-argument on the lack of stars in NASA's images from the moon landing is that the quality of the films blanked the stars out. Exposure lengths were also suggested to be an issue, being so short due to the sun lighting up the moon's surface and the spacesuits, and therefore making it impossible to capture the sky and stars when capturing the moon's surface in spacesuits. You can capture stars in low quality images here though, so people do still try to make the argument today that this is a bullshit excuse. Moonwalker, I leave you to decide on the moon landing.
Well, the whole thing about the stars, those pictures look so good that there's no excuse that the stars couldn't have been photographed.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where when it's in front of you, it really does make you think, doesn't it?
But I didn't believe in the moon landing, so I'm good. If anything, this is just reinforcing my beliefs. Especially that bit about Buzz. He'd clock someone in the face, but he won't put his hand on the Bible and swear he went to the moon. Buzz. Buzz, Buzz, Buzz.
So I guess as we get ready to close out here, what I'm really asking you to make a decision on is whether the moon was actually sent here by aliens, so to speak. Be it to settle a new civilization or to monitor the Earth, that bit's irrelevant. I'm asking you to decide whether the hollow moon or moon ship was sent to us at its precise location by aliens. So to summarise, the moon landing as we know it was faked, never happened. The moon is so precisely situated to settle Earth that it just can't be chance, can it? It also rings like a bell and craters only go so deep before hitting a hard surface. The moon is full of titanium. Ancient Zulu and other civilizations have similar origin stories saying that the moon was placed here. Our scientific explanations actually genuinely struggle to explain the precise circumstances of the moon. Oh, and Aldrin punched a conspiracy theorist on the beak.
On his beak.
Did you want to go over anything about this all before we conclude?
No. If you do not believe in God and the fact that God created everything, then I think it would be safe to assume, well, not safe to assume really, but I'm saying that we are a happy accident. The moon got knocked into our orbit, and because of everything that was already going on with the sun and the moon, plant life and life was created from that accident, and that the moon is stuck in our orbit until something comes along and knocks it out of it, kind of like a marble getting stuck on a track, and it's just going to go round and round until it gets knocked off it. And that's what I think it is. And we just happen to have developed over billions of years because of what took place, if you do not believe in the God theory.
Okay. So, are you saying...
Am I saying that aliens may have knocked the moon accidentally into our path?
It doesn't matter if it's accident or on purpose. I'm just asking whether you're saying that the moon is caused by aliens.
No, I'm not. I reckon it may have just... A smaller or larger planet may have been hit by a meteorite or a comet or something, and the debris has managed to land into our solar system. Over time, more and more... Does our moon get bigger?
No. It gets slightly further away. Like a couple of inches a year.
Slowly pulling out of our field.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering if over time more dust is collecting on the moon and slowly...
It would be hit by small asteroids and meteors and whatnot,
Yeah,
but
which is
nothing significant.
knocking it off.
Not enough to knock it off. It's on a natural orbit and it's slowly getting further away, and at some point it's going to lose its connection to Earth completely and float away.
Yeah, not aliens.
So just to clarify, what are you saying it is again?
I'm saying that it was
The one in the chance random
Yeah.
space shot, Thea, basically.
just out of nowhere. Boom.
Yeah.
Got knocked off and fell into our orbit.
Got knocked off. What, sorry?
It might have been like a comet, asteroid,
Or planet.
hit another planet.
Protoplanet. I think
Yeah.
it can't be the other. It has to be a protoplanet, I think, because of the size of it and whatnot and the composition.
and fell into our orbit.
Right. Well, I'm not saying that it was aliens.
That was a proper head fuck one. I'm not gonna lie.
So yeah, I've got quite a lot, and I've only put half of my thoughts down here because I didn't want to risk you seeing my show notes and having that shape your own opinion. So I'm not saying that it was aliens, but I'm going to explain my views in a second. I'm not confirming or denying yet. So this file, I went in thinking that it's going to be such a no, but god damn it, halfway through I was like, shit, this might be a yes. The moon is freaking aliens. And for me, it's just the chances of this all happening naturally, just as it needs to be. It's absolutely mental. Like, you've got more chance of winning the lottery every day for a decade or something. It's just bonkers. So then I got to thinking, if a ship or alien object hit the Earth, gosh darn it, it would be covered with debris, but underneath it could still be there. It started making sense to me. Even if the moon landing did happen, they still could have seen things like we covered before. The moon existing as it does makes no sense. I'm not even just saying that, we literally don't know. The moon is responsible for us being here today. We don't know of any other perfect eclipse like our own. The moon is alien. But being absolutely ridiculous and beyond probability doesn't mean that it was sent here by aliens. The universe is vast and ever expanding, and phenomenal chances are going to happen somewhere. So I think that we were the one-off super lucky people to get this moon, and that's not to say that different forms of life can't exist elsewhere without moons. We're just the only people we know of, or the only circumstances we know of thus far whereby we have a moon in the circumstances that we do. Mm-hmm. We're that one in a bazillion chance. So the moon is alien in the sense that it is completely unlikely, yet here it is. So I'm not saying that it was aliens until we go back there and we dig into it and find a ship in the middle. Then I'll absolutely go back and change my view.
Or one day they just get power and bugger off.
Well, yeah. I can't remember if it's going to bugger off first or the sun is going to kill us first.
One or the other. We're doomed.
I mean, they're both happening.
Yeah.
I forget which one comes first. It might be the sun.
Do you think, considering we are all just energy,
Yes, wizard?
we would dissipate to another planet?
No.
Do you...
I don't.
You think we would just stay?
So, that's a good question. In terms of us actually getting onto ships and going to other planets?
No. Like,
Okay, then I
when
don't.
the world ends.
There's more chance of that, in my eyes. I think that, obviously, the sun is expanding as it turns into a red giant, and that is going to burn us to a crisp. We don't quite know for definite whether it's going to encapsulate the Earth or not, but regardless, it is going to get too hot and too close to Earth that the whole planet is going to go into a hot hell planet and no life would be able to survive.
But what would happen to the energy from us? Would we form part of the sun? Become a super sun? Super sun?
Yeah, all the particles and whatnot will go back into another star probably at some point and create other life, but eventually that's going to get lesser and lesser to the point that the universe turns into a big freeze. And then at that point there'll be no life, no nothing.
Still energy.
Cold, dead energy.
Still energy. That's all I was asking.
So that's my current view, unless I subsequently find out that science can prove that, for example, there was a big bang and that there's two parallel universes side by side going out each way, and one gets pulled backwards as the other is moving forward. When the one that is getting pulled backwards hits the middle point, it starts going back the other way, and that universe starts moving back in time, and the other one starts moving forward in time. Does that make sense? So there are two universes.
Kind of.
One starts, one finishes, and they, on a...
What are those things that you see in offices a lot of the time, where they got the silver balls?
Yeah.
Pendulum like thing?
Yeah.
Those. Yeah.
But I'm not saying that's real either. That was just a random example off the top of my stupid head. Until we explain what dark energy is, the jury is out. But that's today's shows, folks. Show. That's today's show, folks. If you want to probe us, we are on the Twitter. At But It Was Aliens. And we now have a Patreon.
I didn't know if we had a Patreon thing, so apparently Patreon.
You mentioned it in your last episode.
Yeah,
so.
but we didn't have a definitive end for it, like in the way it said, like on that Twitter.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably invent one at some point.
Patreon,
where you can find monthly bonus episodes where we cover more widely paranormal topics, not just aliens. In fact, anything but aliens. So come probe with us on the side there. But yeah, thank you for listening to But It Was Aliens. We love reading all your ratings and reviews, so an additional thank you sincerely to those who have taken the time to drop us a 5-star review. We will be heard by you again next Thursday, hopefully, but until then, have you ever looked up at the moon and felt like something is looking back at you? Does the moon seem to change when you look at it?
yes,
Is this evidence that Granville has been probed repeatedly in the butt?
nope,
Hashtag butt probe moonwalker. If in doubt, the truth is up there. Hashtag probe.
never been butt probed.